It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, so as we get ready and going here, JJ, your thoughts before we get Big T's thoughts on this matchup, because the Jazz kind of doing the thing that they'd done the first time around with the Mavericks, which was they were just a little bit behind for a lot of this contest, and then they eke their way back little by little, and it was the usual suspects. Like I said, it wasn't just, and you heard David Locke's call there, setting your watch by the corner threes by Lowry. We already know that's a 42+% bet with that guy. But Keyonte George has become a massive part of what this team is relying on every night. On a team where I think people look and they go, well, they can't rely on anybody. Will Hardy has a lot more to rely on than I think we give him credit for, this young team credit for.
Yeah, Keyonte didn't need to score 30 last night for them to win. Only took 12 shots, 7 assists. Lowry had a hot hand, and so they rode Lowry, and it worked out. Walt Clayton, 4 of 10 from 3. 4 of 10 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3.
Nice.
So Walt Clayton had a nice game with 12 points coming off the bench. There's a lot to like about the way the Jazz played last night. Bryce Sensabaugh has really, really made a jump recently. You're seeing him taking the ball to the hoop with authority. You're seeing him hit more shots. So it's funny. You can sometimes get your game going, and Thurl would tell you this, by getting to the rim and getting easy shots. Jerry Sloan used to talk about that all the time. And it's funny how you've seen Bryce be more aggressive getting to the hoop, and now it seems like that's helping his overall game and making him a better shooter from deep. So great performance last night for the Jazz. And that's, you look at the records, and the Jazz are 13-24, Dallas is 14-24. This is an even matchup, and the Jazz have played the Mavericks twice at home and won.
Bryce Sensabaugh has been a name of the last couple of games we've been talking about. He got the start again last night. Cody Williams got his first start of the season in 22 minutes. He's been getting a little bit better as we go along here. It's a story about watching guys get better this year. Big T Thurl Bailey joining us, of course. He is the television analyst for the Jazz Broadcast Network on the TV side of things. Big T, thanks for being with us, man. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. How you guys doing?
Phenomenal.
Doing well.
You get to watch this team day in and day out, and we've watched these guys progress quite a bit. The Keyonte George revelation this year, and it's like every year we wait. Last year it was like, man, the third year from Walker Kessler's been a revelation. And we got that this year with Keyonte George. What do you like with his game, and how has he become so consistent in just this first half of the season? It looks like you can get the same guy every night now.
Yeah, well, that doesn't happen on its own, as you guys well know. You got to put some work in, and you've got to put a lot of work in, especially on the basketball side. And there's no question that Keyonte did that. Now, there's got to be things that prompt you to want to be better, to want to be one of the best in your field. And that process, I think, for Keyonte, and he talks about it very openly, it came after last year's season that I think, I know was really a disappointment to him. And it kind of showed in his attitude. He talks about, and Will talks about, some of the conversations they had and what it would take for Keyonte to take that next leap. And obviously Keyonte was listening. So he put the work in, man. He put the work into his game and the mental aspect that I think he knew he needed to figure out. Because a lot of these kids, when they come in young, right, they're everything to their ball clubs in AAU and college, and you get to this level, and it takes a whole different mindset. Mm-hmm. And if you're willing to find that clarity and understand what it takes to be a pro in all sorts of ways, Keyonte's proven that he put that time in, both physically and also psychologically.
So, Big T, can you explain to people what it means when we see guys like this, that when they get locked in, and when you mentioned being a pro, maturity. When you talk about players making that leap, what does that entail specifically? How do guys get there? What are the things they have to do on and off the court to achieve that? Because you've seen Keyonte make that jump, and you just talked a little bit about that. But what are things guys have to do professionally on and off the court to achieve that?
Well, I think some of it's different for each individual player and how they approach the game and what they want out of it. right? I mean, because if you're coming in from, look, it's a different era. It's a young players league now. It's a developmental league. And so when you come in at 19, 20 years old, there's so much more to that than it used to be back in the day when you spent 3 or 4 years in college and you kind of got some of that education and that development there. But now it's totally different. So I think if I had to nutshell it, it really is figuring out, based on where you are, what you're going to need to do to take that next step. You come in the league and you're guarding and you're playing against guys that, you worshiped as a kid, right? How do I get there? How do I get to be talked about like them and in that basketball sense? And there's no substitute for putting the time in during the off season. And it's about who you're around, who has your back, who's on the same page with your goals, and how much time you're going to put into it. Because there's so many distractions, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, when you have a player like Keyonte who comes into this season and you see some things that are different, but you only have a small sample and you're going to wait maybe 10, 15, 20 games and you say, man, this is for real. This guy's for real. Look at his face. Look at how he approaches the game. That's when you know that there were a lot of sacrifices made to get to that point.
Thurl, when you see this group of young guys, and I think that, everybody from year to year, last year it was like, you can see the win-loss difference. This team has more wins at this point this year than the team last year did. But it seems like there's so much more that has progressed with this team. I like so many of these young guys on here. How is it guys like Walt Clayton come in and they can just find a vibe kind of immediately? He's become such a reliable guy also off the bench, making threes. What does Walt Clayton Jr., for example, bring to this team? What have you liked in his game?
He brings more rookie experience, right? I mean, he stayed in college for the duration, and you can see that maturity when he arrives here. He is not your typical young rookie. Now, there's still steps that he has to take to figure out the game at this level, which I think we've all seen him kind of make those rookie mistakes and then correct them on the fly. He also has to have really good teachers around him that can communicate with him and let them know exactly what he needs to do to get minutes. And they're willing to give him a little bit of rope to make those mistakes because they know his potential. And we've seen that. So he's grown up really fast, and so have a few other guys. But you can't grow up that fast without, first going through the gauntlet and making the mistakes and trying to figure things out. And I think the 3-point guard thing for the Jazz has allowed that competitive nature for the Jazz, for these guys to compete against each other. And even though when you look at some of the abilities that each one has, they bring a different type of thing to the game. But I think within this team, they're all useful and they're all starting to shine through. And Walter Clayton Jr. has found that with his confidence.
Based on what you've seen from Ace Bailey so far, what do you think his ceiling is in the NBA?
Oh, he's got a very high ceiling. He really does. And a lot of his will be on the physical side because it is a different level, as far as how many games you play, as far as the practices and just the physicality of your position and what this team wants as part of their identity. He's a freaky athlete. We've seen some of the things that have kind of reared us back and opened our eyes, but that's both sides of the ball, right? He's going to learn how to defend players at this level. And now his body's kind of going through that transition where, oh man, this is a long haul. None of these rookies are used to the long haul of what the season brings. So, getting healthy is important, but I like what he brings on the offensive end. He's going to be put in a lot of situations, and he has been already before his injury, put in situations where he has been the primary or secondary offensive player without a Lowry on the floor, without a Keyonte. So he's getting used to all that. He told me that when he first came in here, there was a basketball language that he had to get used to. He didn't know what a veer was. He had to learn all those things. So it's an education as well. But he's patient. And when you can get a high draft pick to be patient, not want it all right now, that's a plus.
Will Hardy's like a veteran, head coach in the league now with all the I feel like he's aged a couple of years extra on top of what he's had to deal with. Just he keeps getting handed young guys, and he keeps just moving forward. The message never changes with Will Hardy, it seems like. What has been something this year that you've seen from him that maybe is different than you've seen in the first few years that he was a coach?
Well, I think he has a better sense this year than last year of the ability to have a team where he can put lineups out there and just go out and play. Win or lose, go out and leave it all out there. I mean, we all know what last year was about. It was, trying to develop young players and trying to position ourselves for, a draft pick. But I think Will feels maybe a little more freedom this year to be able to take what he has, even mixed in with guys. Look, we lost Walker Kessler, which was a big piece in that progress, but we know what Walker brings, and we know that Walker can and will get better. But you bring in some veterans, Kevin Love, who's actually older than Will, Kevin Love or Yusuf Nurkic, who can go in and play their roles as well. But I think Will he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch coach. He knows the game so well. I think that's one advantage of starting where he started in the film room. He can break it down to you. He knows exactly how to teach it to these young players. Yeah, but his schemes are really built not just for one or two guys, but there's multiple options in everything that he does. So he's a great teacher, and it's fun to watch games like last night and the one in OKC, because it really is a chess match. And he's been able to show us, kind of like an artist almost, he probably wouldn't call it that, but show us that chess match that he plays to make sure he gets the maximum out of his team.
You mentioned Kevin Love and Yusuf Nurkic, and I think there's a myth out there that you have to have veterans on your team, because if you have the wrong veterans, that's not very helpful. But it feels like they've got the right veterans with these guys, and they both unsolicited said a lot of great things about this organization and how fortunate these young players are. How important have those guys been to this whole group and how they fit in?
Well, I think you can always tell when, especially veterans, are saying what they feel like they have to say and what they feel, right? And I know for a fact that Kevin Love and Nurk are having a great time being with this team. They've been around. They've been in all sorts of positions. Kevin Love's won an NBA championship. He's a future Hall of Famer. So he doesn't have to say anything that he doesn't believe. And as I watch him, as we travel with him, he is so engaged. They both are. Nurk is engaged as well. And here's a player, I believe, in Nurkic that was kind of looking for some new life, looking for a place to show that he had more game left. So their connection with Will is strong as well. It's fun to watch that kind of from my distance and see how they communicate and see how they, as veterans, communicate those things to the players. You should see shoot-arounds, especially on the road, where Kevin Love takes the lead or Nurk takes the lead if something's not going right, and they're well respected. One of the things that really has helped is Keyonte George's mental aspect of the game. He's been able to lean on Kevin Love for that part. We all know kind of that history. And that's helpful. And you're right. You've got to have the right veterans. And I enjoy watching these guys just, be around each other and go out to battle.
We saw that this week, and I think you're 100% right about Nurk. I think on top of that, I think he was the guy that people looked at and went, he might be problematic for rosters. Like he came across as like kind of being a little bit grumpy in the last a couple goes with
He was
contract.
bouncing around, and everyone's wondering why is he bouncing around.
Yeah, I think he got that a little bit of that. He probably got saddled, unfortunately, with the idea of he's hard to work with, or maybe he's tough. And both of these guys have said, no, these guys don't have any idea how good they have it here. What are they talking about when they said they brought up the front office and everything? But what is it that they're really talking about? Guys who have multiple teams under their belt, and they go, no, you guys, it's different here. You need to enjoy this.
I think they're starting at the top. They're talking about Ryan and Ashley and what they've built here, what they're building, continuing to build here. And you don't know that if you're them, like until you come and you have time to get to know people and talk to people and understand what the process is, the patience it's going to take, what the focus is on, right? You've got a couple of guys who are towards the end of their careers, and they're not looking to go somewhere where, that they're just going to disappear on the bench or just are used for advice. No, I think they feel valued. And I think that's what they're talking about, that from Ryan to Austin to Danny to Jay-Z to Will Hardy, they feel valued. They feel part of something, part of a family look what's happening in this city, in this state, around the Jazz and the Mammoth and everything that's going on. So I think that's what they mean about them being fortunate to be in this place at this time. With this ownership.
Rebuilds are painful and they can be difficult, and it requires patience, and the Jazz are going through that right now. But obviously we're watching this team and the development of Keyonte George and Lauri Markkanen playing at an all-star level, and you see Ace Bailey and the talent there that we've already talked about. Do you see the light at the end of the tunnel, Big T? Can you see where this is going? And can Jazz fans be excited about where that's at right now?
Well, I think what you can see is hope, right? You can see progress. And that's really what Jazz Nation, the Jazz organization are hoping for. Look, they have a game plan. They have a timetable. And most times that timetable doesn't necessarily work out exactly how you draw it up. But if you can see progress, if you can see, you really understand what the work that Keyonte and the work that Lauri put in and how they're leading this team. And when you come to a game like last night, or you watch a game like OKC, where you have to raise your level of competition against the best there is in the league, you see that progress, you see that hope. And you understand what they're trying to build, because a team like OKC did the same thing. Yeah, you have to be fortunate. You have to have really good players. But, it's not about trying to hit a home run right away in this league today. And so if you can get those pieces with whatever dealings you have going and whatever picks you have, right now, if you can see progress, that is what that light is. That light is hope. That light is progress. That light is watching a finals with Indiana and OKC saying, you know what, I think we can build something to that effect and get to that point in 2-3 years or whatever your plan is. So, yeah, I think everybody can feel it. Everybody can see it and feel it. And they're going to be disappointing nights, because you can't get there without some of those nights that we've had, and there's some to come, right? But you just keep building on the positive and developing these guys and hope to get there sooner than later.
You guys stay at home, and you welcome in the Hornets, who, by the way, have a pretty fun rookie, Conca-Nipple, who I think is shocking some people, because people are people who saw him shoot in college, they're not shocked. I think that they might be raising their eyebrows a little bit of how quickly he's started to become something really nice for this Hornets team. And speaking of another team who's young, and people say, oh, they're not going to be good for a long, long time, this Hornets team's got a lot of fight in them, a lot of young guys who are earning their keep as well. What do you see in this Charlotte game that's going on tomorrow night at Delta Center?
Well, we see a lot of that in the league now, right? Teams that have decided to start to build that way from youth. And, Conca-Nipples, he's going to be a great player in this league. The problem sometimes with the Jazz is when players come and play against us, they look too good. Like, I mean, I know the Jazz beat Dallas the first time that they came here, but Cooper Flagg had 42 points and 20 free throws. But I think, look, that's kind of the recipe right now we're starting to see amongst the league, even with Charlotte, trying to get the right pieces and trying to highlight the right guys to run their teams. And so it'll be another good game before we get back on the road, meaning this team gets back on the road to be tested again. The nice thing about the Jazz is they're playing really well at home for the most part. And you love the consistency of what Keyonte and what Lowry are doing. I think Bryce Sensabaugh is due for a breakout. He's had some decent games, but he hasn't had the breakout consistency that I like to see. And of course, the other pieces, the bench pieces coming along. But yeah, it'll be a fun match tomorrow.
I want to get your thoughts on Cody Williams coming into the league, being a first-round pick for the Jazz. His brother's an NBA star. It's not fair for him, but those kind of expectations are heaped on him because of that. But he's finally seems like he's turning a corner, getting more minutes and delivering. He's getting to the rack and making some plays. What are your thoughts on Cody Williams? Do you still believe in him as a guy that can make it in this league?
I'm really proud of how Cody is doing it, and it's not easy, man. You're a top 10 pick, right? And those things that you just said, people are going to talk. He's got a brother at OKC who's a champion. Is he going to be as good or like him? And that's the noise. Even though it's difficult, that's a noise that Cody has had to block out, right? And so I like the patience that and it doesn't just happen on his own. He's got to have people in his ear saying, look, be patient. Yeah, you're going to play G League. We're going to get you some reps because if you're not getting them here, you got to get them somewhere. And I talked to him on the elevator the other day because he's starting to show why his potential, his ceiling is so high. He's more aggressive to the hoop now. I think he's had probably 6 or 7 dunks in the last 2 or 3 games. But he's different, right? He's stronger. He's using it well. And even before, he didn't make poor decisions. He just wasn't consistent with shots. And they're trying to get him as a long, lanky player to guard some of the best offensive players in the league. So they're throwing him right into the 5. Well, I love his progress. I love where he's going. And I think his trajectory's going to continue to be up because his confidence now is up.
Big T, Thurl Bailey, joining us on the program. If you stream the YouTube page, you can see his 3 Emmys in the background.
Was that a flex, Big T?
No problem. I'll take it all day. It makes us more credible. Come on. That's what I'm saying. That's why
Hey, you earned those. Let people know.
That's what I'm saying. All rookie league in the NBA or your 3 Emmys. You got to give one of them up. What's it going to be?
All rookie league in the NBA. I'll take the Emmys.
Yeah.
Take the Emmys.
You truly are a TV guy.
Yeah,
now,
you've turned that corner.
I
You're
appreciate
full
that.
on media, man.
You're one of
it.
us.
I love it. Well, we hope to be one of you one day, Big T. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on the program, and let's add a 4th one this year, man. You guys are well on your way. You guys do a phenomenal job. Thanks again.
So do you too. I appreciate you, man. Anytime.
There you go.
Thanks, Big T.
There you go.